Welcome to the Tow Club Industry Podcast. My name is Art. You guys know me. We're pretty excited to have John DeWeese, also known as Tow Ninja, on TikTok. We're proud to have John joining the podcast. John, thanks again, man.
Hey, no worries. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. Today's obviously episode will at least somewhat be centered around the slow down, move over movement. John, I'd like for you to introduce yourself. Tell us, the listeners, the watchers, a little bit about who you are, your history in the tow industry, your experiences. Have at it.
I've been in and out of the towing industry for probably a little over 30 years. I did get out of towing in the 90s full time, stayed nights and weekends to do construction.
Okay.
Um, I've done wreck recoveries, repos, parking lot enforcement, AAA, motor club jobs, stuff like that.
Okay. So you've experienced, let's say, most of almost everything there is in towing, really. I mean, private property impound, motor clubs, police work, I imagine, right?
Pretty much everything. I've also done high end car transports, auction transports, stuff like that. So pretty much everything that you can be in a tow. I've done light duty stuff, medium duty stuff. Years ago, heavy duty stuff. I'm not so much into heavy duty or medium anymore. A little
Okay.
bit, but
That's
not.
difficult. That's really difficult work. I mean, it's just hard work. I used to do it as well.
It's I don't mind the work. It's I do have injuries that from an accident 9 years ago that keep me limited to certain activities.
Right, right. Since you bring that up, my understanding is that you obviously were directly impacted by people's lack of slowing down and move over. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It was not so much of a slow down, move over situation at that point. I was actually in a construction zone. I was a heavy equipment operator.
Got it.
Um, and and the road was closed and we had flagger force there. We had the road shut down, and we were getting ready to open the road. So I got out. I helped the laborers, and uh, an irate person was in line waiting for us to open the road, and basically decided he was going to come out of traffic and blow through the road closed signs, which he had nailed me, and I got hit. It was like by like a small SUV. I got hit, thrown up into the air, and landed on the ground. I believe I rolled up the windshield. Um, there was a dent in the hood from my forearm, and the guy took off. And that's kind of what started a journey of several years worth of hell for me, if you will.
Yeah, man, I'm really sorry to hear that. Obviously, I know that happens to people, obviously in construction, law enforcement, obviously towing, municipal road workers, these
Right.
kinds of anybody who's working on in or around the streets can be subjected to that. I think, the next thing I wanted to ask you is, because obviously you've been involved in spreading the message, and I'd like to thank you on behalf of the whole industry because we need people like this. And in my opinion, one of the things that I think gets in the way is, I mean, John, you know how this goes, right? Any industry, if there's not a lot of money in something, people aren't going to direct their efforts to necessarily do it. So people have to
Correct.
do it because they're passionate about it. And in this case, it's the right thing to do to prevent injuries. What are you finding is the best way to get the message across? I mean, obviously, you're on TikTok as Toe Ninja. You've got many, many thousands of people following your content. What works for you? What do you think is the best way to spread the awareness?
Well, so you talked about the passion. So yes, I became passionate about it because I suffered with the injuries. I became a drug addict, heroin addict, and almost ended my life.
Wow.
So and guys can read my story. It is public. It's on the Beasley Media Group's website for their community of caring. It's several years old, uh, but through my recovery, I met several very key players in keeping me geared and focused on putting a message out there. One of them is a huge mentor of mine. He's Todd Lease. He's the former traffic incident management coordinator for the entire PA Turnpike. And he's also an organizer of Tim Heroes, which is a nonprofit that I work for. Through meeting him, I was directed to Emergency Responder Safety Institute, which is an organization set up by a lot of fire service people. And what they gear to, they do a lot of training videos for free on their website, which is respondersafety.com. A lot of resources on there for not only tow truck operators but all responders.
Okay.
So I met all of them guys, and their initial goal uh, was getting me, well, let's see, how do I put that? So when I linked up with them, they had all this handout material, pamphlets for slow down, move over, distracted driving, activity books, and they were able to send me, um, handouts, public education material to start handing out. So I would start handing out the material um, to all my customers, and
Right.
then just leaving them in cars and leaving a stack in a dealership. That turned into me sending uh, tow operators or companies around the United States um, packages of handouts that they can hand out. So I pretty much did all the legwork.
Got it.
Uh, 2 years ago, we recently, with the help of American Towman, a friend of mine, Jeff Neenstedt, were able to get Emergency Responder Safety Institute hooked up with American Towman. And this should be, I believe we're going to have a booth this year. We will have a booth for the third year in a row where you guys can come and talk to the guys that organized Emergency Responder Safety Institute. And
Okay.
them guys are great. I love all them guys. They are definitely an inspiration to me,
Right.
and another reason and another resource that I was able to
Right.
get
No,
the
that
stuff.
that's really good, and I appreciate you giving credit to those people that are helping you make this happen. I did want to ask, and I want to preface this by saying the reason why I'm asking this is because I feel like in the towing industry, I'll call myself a veteran of online comments, meaning, somebody publishes something and then the first thing I do, is I sort of chuckle and I'm like, I wonder what people are saying about this, right? Not chuckle at the content, but chuckle at the responses, right? Like when you read the threads, and I'm sure you probably do the same. You look at the comments, it's like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But what do you think? Because obviously, getting the message across is one thing, but for the industry to absorb it and get behind it, there's always like a fly in the ointment, right? Like, what do
Right.
you think the challenges are? In other words, what type of opposition do you see in the comments, right? Because our industry, they don't always work together, and sometimes they oppose each other, because they oppose each other because sometimes there's competitive juices that flow between towing companies in a given area, or one guy's in the south and he does things a certain way and the other guy's in the north, or the other guy's on the east, or the other, it's just like we're in California, right? And when I talk to
Right.
towers on the east coast or in the south, they're like, what are you weirdos over there doing? Like, they question sort of what we do versus what they do. But what do you think has been the thing that the towing industry is doing or talking about that makes things difficult to get the message across? What kind of opposition are you seeing?
Um, so a lot of the times it's you get comments from tow operators. Oh, nobody listens. Nobody's going to slow down and move over. So why should I care, you know,
Right.
about doing what I do?
Because it
So,
hasn't happened to them, right?
uh,
Let's be
yes,
honest.
but so we are a competition. I don't own a business. The towing, I work for somebody, and I get it. It's competition with everybody. But what brings us to the brotherhood is the dangers that we face every day.
Right.
We all face the same dangers.
Yeah.
Joe Texter driving,
Right.
and we're on the side of the highway. Nobody respects tow truck operators, and that's one of the reasons I latched on to Emergency Responder Safety Institute, because the first responders do get a little bit more respect. So I initially jumped on board with them and basically brought them into the towing part of the stuff. In so many words.
Right.
A lot. I've gotten radio coverage as well. But yes, we get nobody cares about us. Okay, that may be true. Um, but we need you guys. The more, and I can get pretty much. It's actually limited right now to the amount of public education material I can get sent out, and it's all free of charge. No shipping costs, no nothing. You don't have to pay nothing. Give me your address. Promise me that you're going to hand them out, and I will
Right.
get you as much sent as
We'll
possible.
get you the literature. Yeah.
Right. So I pretty much did all the legwork. So it's you don't have to do anything. But um, so what I try to tell the guys now, I used to focus on getting angry at the general public and wanting to throw a J hook through their windshield. You know what I mean? Like,
I've been there, man. I mean, it's good that we restrain ourselves, but you definitely want to sometimes, no doubt.
but at the end of the day, it's still 65% or more of the general public don't know that it's happening, and don't even know that it's a law. And then you get the ones, well, it should be, human compassion that you move over for somebody. Yes, you would think. But if you don't get out there, and you guys can share my story of what happened to me, it's
Absolutely.
public. It's pinned to my top of my TikTok, my story in a 1 minute video.
Right.
Um, but if you so it's 60, say it's roughly 65% of the general public. So if we have 100,000 or 10,000 or 1,000 tow operators, even a hundred handing out material to each individual customer, we're getting the message out there little by little by little.
Right.
Their biggest thing, which I don't agree with, is everybody leans on the one tow truck operators killed every 6 days, and that is inaccurate information. Um, if we keep telling the general public inaccurate information, they're not going to listen to us.
Correct.
At the past 5 years, we've lost 20 tow truck operators a year on average. In the past 5 years, I believe the average is one responder every week gets hit and killed, and that's across the board. That's police, fire, EMT, towing, DOT, and stuff like that.
Road
So,
workers, etc. Right.
well, no, road workers is not involved in that.
Is not in that.
That
Is not in that statistic.
and
Okay.
that's in that part. Road workers is a different category. Um, because there are so I don't know exactly why. That would be a question for the responder safety guys.
Sure.
Um, there are hundreds of thousands of more construction workers than there are tow operators.
Okay.
So I believe it's like 49% of tow operators more likely to get killed than all the industries combined, and that's police, fire, EMT, per capita,
Oh
because there's
yeah.
not a lot of us.
Oh yeah. And I think whatever we can do to let the general public understand, hey man, our ass is out on the line on the side of the road. Like obviously the industry knows this because
Right,
we've all, whether in your case it was the worst possible outcome, you actually got hit, but we've all been on the side of the road and literally felt a car nearly graze us. You can feel the
right,
wind, right? We've all been there, and it's like people don't understand, like this is you're splitting hairs here, man. Like,
Right.
so no, that's oh, by the way, I did want to remind the audience that all of the sources that are being cited here by John in terms of regulatory agencies, agencies that are helping spread awareness, providing statistics, will be included in this video description in addition to John's story. John, I wanted to circle over to something only because obviously you've been on this journey to spread awareness. And I'd like for you to tell the listeners, because in addition to providing some more exposure to your story and to increase awareness, um, give me, like, let's say your top three influential players in the social media market that you follow or know that are helping spread your message, just so the listeners can start to understand the type of content that's being used. So let's hear it. I mean, who do you think are your top three guys?
I would say you figure Brian Wagaman, you know him.
Yes, yeah.
He's a personal
My
friend of mine.
last guest, actually, I wasn't aware of him, but now I'm starting to understand better on what he's doing. And recently I was made more aware of him. I had Jason on recently, JB Toe
Yes.
Accessories. And
Jason's another one.
yeah,
He puts it out there on all his videos.
yeah,
Slow down, move over. I really don't. You got there's several. You got tow truck. You got tow truck wags. I just said you got
yeah.
tow truck Chubbs is another one. He's
Okay,
a he's a big TikTok star, if you will.
okay,
Tow truck stories and another personal friend of mine.
okay,
You got if you're familiar with Heavy Rescue 401, you got Rick,
okay.
Papa Bear.
All
He
right.
does his own little
Yeah,
stuff
I
here.
want our audience to understand who the players are so that they can not only support you, but like support the people that are doing right by the industry, spreading a positive message, and getting I mean, I'm sure you already know this, John, but the general public knows nothing about our industry. I mean,
Right,
nothing. And
right,
if you were to ask a random person about our industry, it'd be like, yeah, those guys, they steal cars, they're crooks, and it's like, no, we
exactly.
actually have a purpose. So I appreciate you calling those people out because I want our audience to understand, hey, go and follow these people. And by the way, for those that are listening, we will also include links to these people as well in the video description. Um, you know, one of the things, obviously looking at what you're doing for Slow Down, Move Over, one of the things that I've thought was also helpful, and I wanted to ask your opinion on, is we've got a lot of technology creeping into the towing industry. I know there are things such as Haas Alert, and I do happen to know and recently met Devin Banks, and she, I think, has done a pretty good job. I wanted to ask your opinion on, for example, Haas Alert, and there are some other people adjacent to Haas Alert that are doing some good things, spreading a message. What is your opinion on some of these things that are popping up recently?
Okay, let me run back to the previous question with the because if I forget to mention these guys,
Of
you got
course.
Paul who on TikTok is slow down, move over. Paul does an amazing job.
Okay.
Uh, he actually takes more of the role that I used to do as posting a lot of these struck by deaths. And Matt, New Jersey Tow Junkie, is another one on TikTok.
Okay.
But
Good.
Devin is great. Tom Parbs and the Haas Alert team is amazing. I have personally bought and paid for my own Haas Alert unit. I have done videos in the past. It does work.
Great.
Um, Now it's they're getting more and more advanced as to who they're working with. Um, and yes, it's definitely a great unit. Uh, I don't even know what it's like 300 a year or something it costs me.
Right.
Um,
And we need that to be more widely adopted, right? Because
yeah,
as that's more as I mean, my understanding is that they're the only one in that space doing that particular thing. And I believe and I hope that their technology and the use of their hardware and their software integrations gets more widely adopted. Because what I would like to see, as much as I want to say, hey, I don't ever want another tower hit, I do realize I'm realistic. I do realize that this will happen. But
right,
if we can get this to do this, right, then I think we're winning, right?
uh,
Like,
right. And I've been doing this slow down, move over stuff for 5 years, and it's we still lose 20 toe ops a year. You know, average, I believe it's 50 to 60 um, total responders, a year. I think we're up to 23 now. And when I first started, I mean, the high number, I think it was 2020 was 65. I think I can't, all these numbers are all posted on Emergency Responder Safety Institute's website.
Right.
Um, I go to shows. I spend a lot of my own money getting there. I do get funded here and there to come to certain events,
Good.
but it's not 100% all the time. And I look for new technologies. And there's one of them that I've been talking to for several years who has a unit that actually took video cameras and flipped them around. And basically, when someone's encroaching in your lane, it shakes your vest, lights your vest up,
Nice.
blows the horn off. It's mobile video. Scott has been back and forth with me. I got him linked in with Emergency Responder Safety Institute. He made some adjustments per their recommendations. I will see Scott in Baltimore, I believe, or Tennessee. I'm not sure, but it's supposed to work up to 1,000 feet. And when someone encroaches in that um, area, it'll set off an alarm. I
Nice.
thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
Uh,
So do I. I mean, that's three football fields, man,
four
roughly.
years ago, 4 years ago, when I met Scott, it was only good for 250 feet. And I told him, I said, look, if you can get it up to here, I can get these people who are pretty important to listen. And I think it was 2 years ago at Texas, he was able to get his software engineer to make adjustments. There were certain other issues with the size of the units and all of that. So, but it's a work in process. This is going on 4 years, and this is not even out on the market for sale yet.
That's wonderful. And can you tell me the name of this outfit again?
It's mobile video.
Okay, great. We will also include a link to mobile
Yeah,
video
I'll have to
in the
send you
video
a link
description.
because I'm not
And
exactly sure if he uses mobile video as that link or not. But
no, that would be great. I mean, like I said, I mean, I love what Haas Alert is doing. And anybody who can increase awareness for again that 20 a year, we want that to come way down.
yes,
And the likelihood is that it will gradually come down, but we got to get this show on the road here. We've got to
it's
get guys to stop getting hit on the side of the road.
now Haas Alert and this mobile video, they're not cure alls. And
Of
that's what some of
course
these
not.
guys, they're just tools like our
Yes.
beacon lights. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
It's not a cure all. You know,
Yeah.
you still as an operator have to watch your ass.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
100%. No, 100%. And so I'm encouraged though by these breakthroughs. Um, in all likelihood, John, I'm sure you and I in the coming months and years are going to see new things, and we're going to want to be as an industry instead of saying, "Oh, I don't need that" or whatever. We're going to need towers to look at these kinds of things and say, "Hey, I work on the side of the road. That stuff's important, and I'm going to make the investment." And if you're, I'm a towing owner. I own a small towing company in the San Francisco Bay Area, and just as an owner, I'm sure other owners are listening here and they may or may not like what I have to say here, but look, you either care about your staff or you don't. And this business, it is challenging. It's hard to turn a profit in this business with all of the stuff going on in with fuel instability of fuel costs, with the increase in costs of equipment. You're in the industry, you know what I'm talking about. So
right.
it's hard, but you can't replace a human being, man. And it's hard enough to keep your trucks filled with operators that are competent. So the safety part should not be dismissed. The owners need to be looking after their guys.
Right. Training is a big issue.
Yes.
And some safety issues. I see guys, they reach out to me. Now I've been doing this for 5 years. I had another Facebook account. I had a lot of followers. I get guys reach out to me here in PA that have issues with state police leaving, blah blah blah,
Yeah,
I have resources that I reach out to that can get that handled. But
right,
again, respondersafety.com, which is Emergency Responder Safety Institute, free training videos, traffic incident management videos. Uh, in here in PA, I have resources that will come to your facility and will train your guys in person. In PA, we have a traffic incident management training specific for towing because we realized that emergency on respondersafety.com they have it set up where it's a lot of modules and you get credits, but it's a lot of stuff that towers don't need. It's more for fire services
right.
and stuff like that.
And that's still okay, and I'm glad that
All
these
still
resources.
free.
Yeah, and that's I think is the buzzword here, John, is these resources. There's no excuse on behalf of towing companies for not spreading these messages because these resources are not costing them anything. They're
Right.
available, they're published, so they can become a part of somebody's training regimen at a towing company or at a state towing association. If
Right.
the state towing association doesn't have the resources to produce their own training protocol or training regimen, these resources are available to these state towing associations. I don't know for a fact that every state in the country has a towing association. Some of them are combined and they're part
I'm
of the
not sure
region.
either.
Yeah, but the bottom line here is these resources are available for free. And so I'm hoping that more of the industry decides to utilize these resources. And again, these links will be available in the video description for those that are listening. I did want to ask you, John, do you plan uh for the rest of this year or perhaps the beginning of next year, do you plan to be attending any tow shows?
I will be in Tennessee.
Okay.
I will be in Baltimore.
Okay.
Baltimore is a must for me pretty much
We
every
will
year.
be there as
I
well. So I'm looking forward to shaking your hand.
I work with Emergency Responder Safety Institute at their booth.
Oh, wonderful.
Um, we are working on some other stuff. Hopefully, I cannot say right now.
No problem.
With Todd Lease, possible some training stuff at
Okay, great.
Baltimore.
Yeah,
Again, I can't elaborate any more than that.
no problem.
But
No problem.
yes, this is all free, but it does take money. And
Right.
I work with Tim Heroes, which is a nonprofit which raises money to fund a lot of this public education and these free training videos.
So John, Tim Heroes is what it's called.
Tim Heroes, yes.
Tim Heroes. Now, do they have a link to contribute to their efforts?
Yes. I will try to get all that to you
We
today
will
or
publish that
tomorrow.
in the video description. In addition, I will ask our production team to highlight the contribution link. Perhaps we'll produce some content and we'll direct some traffic towards that link because these are the types of things that we need tow truck operators and I mean, let's be honest, the owners to look at that and say, I have some discretionary budget to contribute to the industry, and I want to direct funds at people that are doing the right thing.
And I will be doing in the near future. So I don't know if I sent you the video or Kelly, where I raised money or I offered to raise money for Tim Heroes in Vegas, $1,500, and I'll zip line in Vegas. Well, I'm afraid of heights, so
Okay,
uh, I
you and me both.
Brian Wagaman was with me, and we wound up
Okay,
raising 2,500. And
okay,
him, I, Jason, and another friend of mine, Rob, did the zip lining over Vegas. I was dressed as a traffic cone.
okay, okay. Well,
So
I gotta get an image of that.
I'll find a video. I have the
Okay,
traffic cone right here. I can put
okay,
it
great.
on.
All
But
right, great.
so I was also dared by one of the EMTs, Lori, that works the PA Turnpike. Um, Me and Todd Lease. Now, again, Todd Lease is the former traffic incident management coordinator. of the entire PA Turnpike, organizer of Tim Heroes. Huge, huge, huge inspiration to me. Huge in the slow down, move over. The man dedicates a lot of his own time and resources and money to get this out there. So we were dared to do the zip lining over Niagara Falls.
Well,
So we're gonna work on trying to set that up.
I'm gonna sit that one out if you don't mind.
Probably the early spring. Now I'm
But I'm
afraid of
happy to
draining.
contribute to Tim Heroes, but I'll sit out the zip lining over the Niagara Falls
So
part.
I'm
Yeah.
still afraid of heights, even though I did that one. I'm afraid of drowning, and I'm afraid of sharks. And don't tell me there's no sharks in that water if you can't see.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, yeah, I'm afraid of the same things. I hate to
So
admit it, but yeah.
that's hopefully we can get that, and what we're going to have to do, hopefully, if all works out, we'll have Rick come down from Heavy Rescue and sign some autographs. So
Okay.
uh,
Great. Yeah.
that's in the future.
Yeah, no,
But
that's great. I mean, I like what you have going on right now. I think all of us at Toe Club, and obviously I don't speak for the entire industry. Sometimes I pretend to, but I hope, I should say, that the entire industry is supportive of some of the content you're putting out. And I do want to remind the listeners on TikTok, this is Toe Ninja.
toe
And
underscore 68, toe underscore ninja 68.
great. That's great. And that'll also be in the video description. Um, John, I've taken so much of your time, and I know that you have quite a bit on your plate. I wanted to thank you for doing this, and I did want to remind our audience to follow your content and be supportive of all the links in the video description for this episode. John, thank you so much.
Facebook is my name. I got Instagram, which is toe ninja 68.
Great.
TikTok. I do have YouTube. I don't do much on YouTube. Um, and I appreciate you inviting me on. And
Yeah, of course. And a reminder for the audience and people in the towing industry, if you aren't willing to know, don't tow. Just don't.
all right.
Thanks again, John.
Yep. Thank you, Art.